thinking about your loving.
I can't stop thinking of you.
Kissing and hugging, thinking about your loving. You know I'm thinking about you. Ooh, ooh, ooh. You know I'm thinking about you. Yeah. Hey, when I'm sleeping. I went and I started working as a management development in training and not in training, trainer, I suppose you could say. And what a management development trainer is someone that goes to large Fortune 500 companies, talks to directors, talks to senior managers about how they speak to their staff, how they can get the best out of their staff, and running through procedures with the managers, but also speaking to the staff, etc., and the policies. And every time I was doing this, the same questions kind of popped up, and all the questions were around employment law and employment contracts and what can we do and what can't we do. And every time I was putting these questions to the HR department, they didn't seem to know. So I thought, you know what? I think I could do this degree thing, this employment law thing, and maybe if I can do that, I can answer these questions. So I did. For 3 years, I studied hard and I worked through the CIPD, and I got my qualification in employment relations law and practice. And then for the next few years, I was then the man who was qualified to give the employment law answers to these questions. And because I sort of lived my life, I know what a real person, how they are, what they need. You know, I didn't sort of live in Clyde Cuckoo land. I was man of the people. I really started coming across well, and they really bought into the way I explained a very sort of black and white, almost boring as they would see it, sort of set of rules and regulations, and they liked. And I always gave good analogies to what I was trying to explain, and it just went bigger and bigger. Next minute I was doing seminars in front of 100 people, and they said, you never seem to get nervous, George. Had no idea.
Little did they know.
I kept the whole being, it's like the 3,000 people at the Dominion Theatre or Royal Albert Hall. I kept that all to one side, and they had no idea. And after I did it for a while, I was discovered. I got this email. I was doing some work for a large company, and I got this email. We know who you are. And it was a picture of me, I don't know, in some baseball outfit on the Freddie Starr show. And then the video started doing the rounds. It was quite hilarious. And so I was rumbled. Okay. I was rumbled in the end. And that led all the way up to about 2011. 2011 is a real year to remember for me. Because I got this call from my brother, Georgie. Because my family do call me Georgie. People think, is Georgie like a bad name? No, that's all my family call me Georgie. So Georgie, I've just been approached. They're doing a 30-year celebration of BritFunk at the Indigo 2. And they want second image. Would you? I went, wow. Well, pondered on it for a little bit. I said, no, I'm up for that. But I tell you what, I don't think we should do it unless we can get all of the, what I call the original members. But it's really the members that most people know. Because if you're talking about original members, you'd have to talk about Rema Fury, who was the keyboard player. And Ozzy was in there as well, and another guitarist. And another sax player called Tom. If you're going to talk about that. But as we got further and we got well known, there was a settled 7 that stayed together the longest. And And I said, if we can't get that settled 7, the one that most people know, Second Image, which is, let's get this right, Simon Hill on guitar, Mark Fisher on keyboards, Junior Sam Bromfield on bass, Weston Foster on drums, Lloyd Dwyer on sax, Frank Burke on trumpet and lead vocals, and Georgie B on percussion lead vocals, and of course Weston was on lead vocals as well. We can't get those 7, don't want to do it. So we started doing the emails and the phone-ins, and as luck would have it, everyone was up for it. And we started rehearsals, and it was amazing. It was like riding the bike. We hadn't really rehearsed these songs as a band for 25 years. And it was like riding a bike. A good bike with a worn saddle. It was really comfy. It's really good. And we did the gig, and I tell you what, I knew it the moment I got on that stage and I saw those people. It was like someone put a big bonfire underneath me. Everything lit up again. And even though I had a good break from the music industry, I was always writing songs, a little dictaphone. And the moment we did that gig and saw how well it went down, the love just came back, and I just started. Actually, no, I'll rephrase that, because I don't think the love ever went. I think the enthusiasm came back.
I can't keep holding on. We're gonna rock this house. No, I can't keep holding on. I don't want to.
Well, the next step was to just go home and start writing. And I got my little keyboard out, and I started writing. I used to write most of my songs with guitar, and we're self-taught. When I say we're, I'm talking about myself, Weston Foster and Frank Burke. We're all self-taught when we write. And I remember one of the guitarists, or the guitarist, Simon here, just saying, I don't know how you do it. And I used to think as a youngster, oh, anybody can just get on the piano. It's just, I don't know what's your problem. You just write it. Just play. And they're looking like, are you insane? That's not normal. And it took me a while to realise that there's just a talent. That we were a very talented band, and a lot of us had the talent in the band. So I was there, I started writing. And as I started humming and getting bits and bobs, one particular lyric started coming out, and I started, and before you know it, I had my first single called Let's Break the Ice. So after I wrote this single, I'm thinking, now what do I do? I was still stuck very much in the 80s about how this is done. Now, the thing that works for me in that aspect was, in the 80s, a song would have a good strong chorus, would have a bridge, sometimes a middle 8. And those things worked for me because I think they were lost a little bit. A good chorus. When you finish the song, what are people singing? But what didn't work for me was, in the old days, vinyl, pressing, mail outs. I didn't know what to do. And love her, and I do love her, my daughter Danielle said, Dad, if you're going to do this, you're going to have to get on Facebook.
Let's break the ice. Because I found the love so sweet.
She said, look, if you really want to get out there, you're going to have a website, you're going to have Facebook, you're going to have Twitter. That Instagram wasn't so big in 2011. But he said, they're the ones you're going to have. People will search you. If they don't find you, they will not think you're serious.
All night long.
So I had a good think about this, and I decided she's right. And then I took it a bit further. I said, well, why not start my own thing completely? Why not start my own production company? Why not start my own record company? Why not own my own publishing? Because I don't own none of that stuff with Second Image. And so I started looking into it. And looking into the PRS, PL, MCPS, what do I need to do? If I want to go down the mechanical writing, the publishing side, what do I need to do to start my own record label? You know, how are the funds attributed to me? How's it broken down? And I thought, I can do this. I can do this. So I always stay positive with the new world, because without the new world, I wouldn't have been able to do all of this myself. So I started GAB Records, which is basically my initials, and I started my own production company, stroke band, called the Groove Association.
Because I found a love so sweet, why can't we break the ice? We're gonna make it.
And then I released a song called Old School Magic. And that was even more warmly received. Okay. I worked with a lovely lady called Mia Chavez, who's actually going to be live in concert with us. We'll try it. We'll speak about that a bit later. And she was kind enough to come and help and sing on Old School Magic. When we did the video, she came out to the south of France to film it with me, and all of this she gave her time for nothing. And looking forwards, you know, invested in me, invested in the Groove Association, invested in the product. And when we released that did really well, so I recorded an album. I called it Let's Break the Ice, was the title track. And that was sort of my toe in the water to see if it was viable to do this, to continue doing this. Well, the album did really well. It got to number 5 in the UK Soul Chart. The singles of the album, the highest one, Let's Break the Ice, got to number 3 in the UK Soul Chart. And this was all produced by me, written by me, you know, and that gave me encouragement to say, right, there's something here.
In every single way, we should groove together. This atmosphere is magic. It's magic, baby. That old school magic. You know it knocks you out, baby. On and on and on and on. That magic. Ooh, that old school magic. You know it knocks you out.
Come on. When I feel the groove is so amazing.
Ooh, baby.
When I'm in the mood, it takes control.
Ooh, take control.
On a natural high, I'm never falling.
I'm never falling, yeah.
Music's never leaving me alone.
Hey, baby, and every day, and every single way, we should groove together. This atmosphere is magic. Oh, baby, that old school magic knocks you on the way. On and on and on and on. Magic. Magic, that old school magic. You know it knocks you out. Break it down.
Come on.
Hey, baby. Yeah. Sweet lady. It's an old school groove. Oh, baby. Just see what it's doing to you.
On and on and on and
Come
on.
sing it with me. school magic. That old school magic. Magic.
DJ, keep it rocking.
It makes you cool and strong. Yeah, yeah. That old school magic. You know it knocks you out, baby. The groove association's here, and we just want to help to share the music, baby. So that's what we're gonna do. Magic. Woo. That old school magic. You know it knocks you out. Yeah, magic. Old school magic. That old school magic. Yeah, yeah. Magic. Sweet magic, yeah. That old school magic. You know it knocks you out. It knocks you out. Do you remember magic? Second image, light of the world. When Crackers was the place to be, dancing to the southern breeze. I remember that old school magic. You know it knocks you out. It knocks you out. Yeah. Our sugar. That old school magic. Magic. It's an old school magic. That old school magic.
So understanding business as I do, I understand that if you're going to start a new business, if you're going to start a restaurant, the first couple of years you're paying for, you know, the rent, the premises, the promotion, building your customer clientele up. And you're not looking to really maybe even breaking even to your third year and moving forward. And I use that same methodology with the Groove Association. So when I realised that there was something here, I just threw more money at it and brought in Weston Foster, my old second image buddy, to produce this time, because I've had too many jobs. And there was a lovely lady that came actually as Weston's guest to the 2011 gig at the O2 with the 30-year celebration of Brit Funk. And her name was Deborah Bell. And I didn't know Deborah at that time. And when I heard some of the stuff that she sang on, I said, yes. Got to get her involved with the Groove Association. And I brought her in on 3 a.m. and I wrote a song for her called When a Woman Falls in Love. And I gave her a call and I said, listen, I've written this song. It's got an Earth, Wind and Fire vibe. You'll love it, just for you. Oh, you know, I'm sort of out of the music business now. I'll take a break. I'm a bit disillusioned with the whole process. This is what's going to happen. Oh no, it's not. This is when it's going to be released. Oh no, it's not. And you know, and she's very business-like, Deborah. If you say it's going to be apples, don't give her pears. You know. But I said, no, this is apples. Come around and taste my apples. And she came round. She heard the track. She sung on the track. It was brilliant. And my plan was to entice her into the project, and that's what happened. And we haven't looked back since. She's a fantastic vocalist. She basically did backing vocalists on every other track, plus lead on a couple of others as well. Fantastic. 3 a.m. As an album is really the yardstick of where I want to be now. And the first album, Let's Break the Ice, was produced by me, recorded within a real tight budget. And I wanted to put my toe in the water to see if it was valid. And when I realised it was valid to continue on, I went all out with 3 a.m. And we mixed it out the box. And that's studio speak. And let me explain to you what that means. There's a lot of computer work when you're doing tracks these days. It's not all live, and it's all mixed within the computer. What I wanted to do, and what we did with Weston Foster Productions, is put as many live instruments as possible and then mix it on an actual mixing desk. So bring it out the computer and mix it. The difference is amazing. You get that sound that the music deserves. And once we were happy with that album, we put it out. Wow. Like I said, it's the yardstick. I don't never want to get below that with Standard now. And the album was gone from strength to strength. It flew into the UK soul charts strong. And then it hit the #1 spot for multiple weeks before you knew it. And then it hit #1 in the independent soul chart for 8 weeks. Week after week after week. And then the DJ started really loving it and understanding where I'm coming from with the album. And it hits the whole jazz funk spectrum with instrumental tracks, a bit of two-step sort of R&B, and also jazz funk, the sort of what I call the happier side of jazz funk with the nice choruses, etc. So as we moved on, it was the Soulmate Easy's album of the month, In the Mix Worldwide album of the month. You've got Indie Music Worldwide, the Indie Music Network, featured album of the year. Soul Brother Records featured album of the year. And then recently is the Critics' Choice, Critics' Pick, one of the Critics' Pick on Soul Tracks, the USA site, album of the year. And just on and on. It's still going now. And when I look back at that, I think, wow, this was just an idea. And now I've reached the point where I've released as many albums as Second Image has. I'm surprised and grateful for everyone who supported me down the road. And a special mention definitely to DJ Ash Selector, who people think I've known him longer, but I met him at that 2011 concert. And he told me how what a great Second Image fan he was. And I told him of my plans, and he said, look, I'll support you any way I can. And he's become a very, very good friend as well now. So I wanted to give him a special mention, as well as obviously Weston Foster, who's great production, and Deborah Bell. And I've already mentioned Mia. But these are the people that sort of got behind me when and helped me when I needed help. Part of the Georgie B master plan was, right, I looked at everything from a business standpoint. So what if I don't get signed up? Okay, I'll release it under my own label. What if no one promotes me? Okay, I'll promote myself. I'll get that sorted and start my own little promotions sort of company up. What if nobody plays me on the radio? So I did some DJing back in the 80s. So radio wasn't alien to me. So I said, okay, I'm also going to get back into radio. And if no one plays it, I'll play it. I'm not shy. And Stomp Radio snapped me up. And I want to say thank you to the Stomp Radio management for doing that and supporting me. And I stayed with them for a good couple of years. And it really worked well. I've now moved on to Crackers Radio, George Power's Crackers Radio. And Crackers Radio is linked into the famous Crackers brand from the Crackers night spot in Wardour Street. They used to do a Friday lunchtime, and then way back in the early 70s, right until the late 80s, underground, very sweaty, all the dancing, and now they've started up their own radio, Crackers Radio, and it's very exciting there. So even though I don't really necessarily need to be on the radio now, I kind of caught the bug, so I do at least one show a week. But the initial reason was, what if they don't play it? Okay, if I need to start it off first and get them playing it by playing it, I'm gonna do that. My latest single's called Ain't No Stopping Us. And no, it's not a cover of McFadden and Whitehead. It's an actual original song written by me and arranged by myself and Weston. And it is a little bit faster than you would normally attribute a Georgie B song, a Groove Association song. But it's a classic, and it's a real sing-along classic. The video's done, and the song is out, and I'll let the public make the decision there, but I think it's on the same standard. And everyone will get to see that performed live for the first time at the world premiere Jazz Cafe concert. And I've never played the Jazz Cafe, even with Second Image, so to be able to be doing that concert, it's going to be fantastic. And even better, I'll have Weston with me, the album producer, and special guest also Deborah Bell, so it's just It's all great.
No, no. No stopping. No, no, no. Ain't no stopping us. Ain't no stopping us.
We're talking about the Georgie B master plan. 2015 was always going to be the year that I was looking to move on to live work. This journey was always going to finish with live. That is what I know. That is where I feel most comfortable. Studio work is a means to an end. It's live work I love. Love studio work, but I adore live work. And venue-wise, had to be the Jazz Cafe because it's the right size. It's intimate enough to get a good vibe, but it's big enough to sort of have a good atmosphere. So it was always leading to live. I love studio work, don't get me wrong, but I adore live work. And you have to do the studio work to be able to do the live work. Why the Jazz Cafe? Well, Jazz Cafe is intimate enough to sort of feel close to your audience, and it's also large enough to get a good vibe. Plus, it's got the upstairs, and being my sort of crowd, let's say 40 upwards. Some of them might want to just have a meal and have a great view of the stage and not want to be boogieing. Some people do want to boogie, but it has that option, so I like that as well. So once I said, right, it's going to be the Jazz Cafe, is how it's going to do it. How am I going to do it? Who am I going to work with? Well, I've done everything myself, but I've always said to myself, you get to a certain point when you think, right, I need to work with this person, I need to branch with that person. That could be vocally with Deborah Bell, Mia Shabase or Mika Reynolds, or that could be production with Weston Foster. But in this case, I decided to work with the fabulous Groove On, who have been putting some wonderful events on. And like Groove Association, they're newer. I'm not saying that the people who are behind Groove On have just sort of born yesterday, but the freshness, I love the freshness on the approach and the honesty that Groove On showed, and I thought, yes, I'm going to choose them to go and work promotion-wise with me for this concert. And let's get well known together. Nothing wrong with that. What can you expect at this first premiere concert? Well, maybe even a little smidgen of Second Image, who knows? But you will definitely get a full band. It's going to be an 8-piece live band. With me makes 9. A bit of movement, a bit of bub wiggling, a show, and lots of tracks. Firstly, obviously from 3am, because that's the most successful album to date, but even a couple from the first album, Let's Break the Ice. But fun. Going to go back to the days where it's just fun, and the people in there will know the album. They'll be singing, dancing, and even an after party. And we've got Ash Selector and we've got James Anthony after doing a beautiful set all the way to midnight. So it's going to be a great night.
On St George's Day, the 23rd of April 2015, Groove On Promotions presents Georgie B and the Groove Association live in concert with full 8-piece live band at the world-famous Jazz Cafe, London, Northwest 1, 7PG. Singing tracks off his double #1 album, 3am. This is a must-attend night out for the Soul family. But wait, there's more. Special guest on the night, UK singing sensation Deborah Bell. Ash Selector and James Anthony from the legendary Soul Shack will be on the decks at the Jazz Funkin' After Party. Tickets are £20 from the Jazz Cafe box office, 0844 847 2514, or get yours online from thejazzcafelondon.com. Georgie B, live at the Jazz Cafe on St George's Day. Get your tickets today.